Bismillah, welcome back, Zoo Crew. So, as I was preparing for my Japan trip, I've been delaying preparing, and I think part of it was that I guess I didn't actually want to go, and I was trying to force myself to go, just because there's a lot of turbulence in my life right now, you know? And yeah, so I mean, I'd been feeling very anxious yesterday and I was pretty much spiraling to the point where I literally had to call the crisis line twice. And that's the first time I ever called that number. And I was surprised. I think it was helpful because as I was talking to these people, I could feel myself calming down a bit. And then so this is the thing, as much as I've been blaming Mina for the breakup and saying she's a bad person. Or actually, I guess I didn't say she's a bad person, but I said she's emotionally unavailable. I feel like that's probably not very fair given just how the last few days have gone, right? So she did block me, but then when I would call a few times from a blocked number, she would stay on the phone and she would talk to me, right? And 30 minutes at a time. And this, I'm sure, was hard for her, just given her own mental well-being and her own state of mind right now, you know? And I guess it was me being selfish and not being able to regulate my own emotions and just not being okay with things ending. And this is the thing. Initially, so I guess really the thing is, I felt I was being disrespected, and it turns out I wasn't being disrespected because I went through all of this turbulence and turmoil and anxiety throughout the day. And then I ended up coming to my parents' house and they asked me okay, well, what did she do or say that was disrespectful? And then I kind of explained, and they're like, what are you talking about, bro? She's not being disrespectful. And I was so hung up on this whole notion, no, she is being disrespectful and she doesn't respect me. And she's picking fights and she's attacking me. And then they were just no, dude, you need to just chill out, calm down, you know? And I started thinking and I was okay, I guess maybe they're right. And then I started thinking as to why was it that I felt this way, you know? And there's a few culprits, I think. Look, I'm not making excuses and I'm not trying to blame anyone or anything. I'm just trying to explain to myself, I guess, what I suspect led to all of this, right? So because I was planning to go to Japan and was just not very organized or planned it accordingly, when I reached out to my doctor to inform him that Vyvanse is illegal in Japan because it's a stimulant, he had said, okay, well, I can't put you on a non-stimulant medication just because there's not enough time for it to activate or become effective. So my suggestion is you stop taking the Vyvanse now, so that would have been last Wednesday, and then you'll adjust before you go on your trip. However, the last few times I've skipped taking my Vyvanse or I just stopped taking my Vyvanse, and there's a lot of turmoil in my life or just not stability. It ends up leading to me spiraling and having immense amounts of anxiety, right? And when you're taking medications that alter your brain chemistry or impact your brain chemistry, you have to be very, very careful. Whether you're taking them or trying to come off of them, you have to be very careful, right? And I had told him that what happens if I have anxiety, and he was like, no, it should be fine. It's not really doing anything for your anxiety anyways. However, it seems that it was, right? And outside of this, me not taking the Vyvanse was making me very irritable. It was fucking my sleep schedule and giving me anxiety, you could say, right? So this is one part of it. And then the other part of it is, so I was going through my fitness app in my phone and I found out or I guess I realized I've only gone to the gym like 6 times in this month, you know? So that's another thing that I know if I'm not going to the gym and like maintaining my physical health or even just working out, it's going to impact my mental health, right? Now, the next part of this is food, right? So for the last like 2 weeks, pretty much, I had been living with Mina, you could say. Like I was spending every night at her house and like she was cooking food and I was eating clean, healthy food, right? So when I came back to my house, I became lazy. I didn't really want to do groceries. I really didn't want to do cooking or cleaning. So I defaulted to Uber Eats, eating pretty much McDonald's and mostly just like fries and poutine and then like the odd Subway, right? Not even like eating shawarma or anything like with somewhat of a nutritional value. So I think this also played a role in it, right? So this is the whole thing. Essentially, Thursday morning, so like Wednesday evening, I had spent the night with her and I didn't really sleep too well, just for my own reasons. And I guess like she probably didn't sleep too well either. And then she had work the next day, so Thursday, right? So she woke me up and was like, yo, let's go, we gotta go. And then I was like in a mood because I had to go to this interview and I felt like, oh, she doesn't want me to go to this dealership, right? My own kind of like negative thoughts and like negative thinking. And then I went to the interview and again, I'm like, oh, like she didn't even bother to like wish me good luck, you know? Mind you, she did, but like after the fact, like at 12:40. And I'm sure she was probably just busy with like a client or something, right? But so now I'm like starting to like get more irritable, especially because like I'm not taking my Vyvanse, right? And then I'm like starting to feel some type of way. And when she's at work, like she's pretty busy and like it's not fair for me to expect her to just be constantly texting me or like updating me on her day, you know? And the days she is free, like she does do that. So like give her credit where credit's due, right? But in my head, I'm like, okay, well, how come like on those certain days she can text me, but on like these days she can't, you know? And I was just being like a little bitch. I was just being moody. And so I went home, I stayed at my own house. Same thing the next day. And like I was like creating distance, I guess, because I was like in a mood and I didn't really want to talk. And then Saturday she came over and so like the whole time she was trying to like diffuse the situation and like being like, yo, bro, like, can you calm down? Like, can you chill out? Like, I'm not disrespecting you. Like, what are you talking about? But I was in such like a negative headspace that I couldn't hear it or understand it. And I was just like, no, like you are disrespecting me. And like, I kept escalating shit, right? And to the point where like, this is the thing. And I think this might be the thing for a lot of couples. So when we're in person and like, if we have a fight, it doesn't last that long and we generally can like get over it. But if it's something like on text, it ends up becoming like a bad fight and like just spiraling out of control. And that's mostly my fault because when I'm feeling like abandoned or rejected, I will just say anything and everything, right? That's my like anxious attachment style. So trying to like get some form of connection. And then again, like the way I was raised, if I'm like, I felt like if I'm not like being loud or like saying crazy shit, nobody's gonna hear me or pay attention to me, right? And so like I feel what essentially happened was that I started to feel very abandoned and then I created like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So I'd been like looking for something to get mad about or like trying to pick a fight. And I guess also it's just that like it's scary, right? Like I was at a place mentally where like I was getting ready to propose to her. And then I guess I like half of me was like certain, but then the other half wasn't certain. So the half that wasn't certain was like, okay, let's pause, let's observe, and like that I think was my mistake because then it reframed my mind to be looking for problems that were not even there and then creating problems. So I had like a reason to leave. And then again, it's the abandonment wound, right? Because I was like, okay, well, I will leave her before she can leave me. And then at like the same time, I was like, well, if she's gonna abandon me anyways and like this whole thing's over, I might as well just burn it all to the ground like and fuck up everything, you know? So all of these things have been going on And I guess like I can't really blame anyone but myself, right? I can't really make excuses. So I wasn't disciplined enough to maintain my routines. I wasn't disciplined enough to maintain the habits. And like I stopped taking care of myself, right? I stopped being a priority to myself. And like I guess I lost sight of that, and then without the discipline it was like I'm not leading myself, so how could I lead the relationship? And this is the same thing I learned previously. Like the last time we broke up I realized all this shit, but then I guess I got comfortable, I got complacent, and like I was enjoying my time with her. So I was just like, well, it's cool. Like I don't need to maintain my habits. I don't need to maintain my routines. Let me just spend whatever time I can with her while she's like not at work, you know? And that became like very destructive because then I started to burn out, and I guess she started to burn out. And then it all just kind of fell apart, you know? Because it's like you can't pour from an empty cup. So the thing I'm realizing now is like when things are going good, it's very easy to kind of just let your discipline go. It's very easy to let your routines and habits go. But then you essentially are removing your foundation. So then when things like start to get a bit shaky, everything collapses. And that's what pretty much happened, right? I was building the foundation, and then I kind of stopped building foundation, and I started to build like the structure of the house, you could say. And then somebody like came and just blew it over, right? And like I'm using that as a metaphor. I'm not saying somebody actually came and like blew it over. Like this whole thing ended or blew up because of me and my own kind of toxic patterns, toxic behaviors, and like immaturity, right? So it's not really fair for me to say, oh yeah, like she was emotionally unavailable. Yeah, at times, and like some things she did like did hurt me. Some of this, like there was some toxic behavior on her end, but it's like I'm not a victim, and like I shouldn't consider myself a victim, and I don't think she should consider herself a victim either. You know, like we're two humans, we're flawed people, we make mistakes, and like that's the thing, right? Like as much as like I can say, oh, she hurt me and like she did this or did that, like I equally did the same amount of shit, and like maybe more. And it like really I feel worse about this because like she's literally here on her own. Like she doesn't have any family here. So like at least for me, when I was like falling out apart and like spiraling, and like sure, like I had like not the greatest relationship with my siblings or my parents, but at least like I had like a place to come to, you know? And like I'm at my parents' house right now. These guys are all gone to London for my younger brother's wedding. So I figured like let me just take advantage of this house being empty right now and just kind of recalibrate myself, change my environment a little bit. And it's not like I can't go back to my house either, you know? So I'm just kind of exploring this and trying to like get recentered. And like the other thing is like I haven't been to therapy since like December 11th, right? And then I kept meaning to like book my next session with like the new therapist to do EMDR to deal with my like PTSD. But then like again, like I just kept delaying, kept avoiding. And I guess the thing I'm realizing now is also like I have a habit of kind of like running away from my problems or like just avoiding them and like delaying shit to the last minute until it becomes too much to deal with. And then I become overwhelmed and then just kind of collapse, right? So even yesterday, like I was like, okay, I'm gonna be productive. I'm gonna like keep moving. And that was me kind of running away from my problems, avoiding my problems, not trying to like feel shit. And then as soon as like I'm alone with my thoughts for a second, everything fucking hit me, you know? And this is what I mean, like as much as I can like be angry or upset with Mina, like while I'm going through this, like I called her a bunch of times from a blocked number, and like she still picked up the fucking phone. She still spoke to me, right? And so like it goes to show like how kind of a person she is, how good of a heart she has, that even while she's in pain and like angry with me and like hurt by me and like abandoned by me, she's still like able to or willing to do that, you know? And really, I guess like I'm the one who kind of abandoned her. Like she came, she wanted to talk. I didn't want to talk. I pushed her away, told her to leave. And then I got mad that she left and didn't want to talk, right? Like it's just stupidity on my part. And I guess like the thing is, this whole time I'm like telling myself, yeah, I'm so self-aware. And like, I guess that's a double-edged sword, because when you are self-aware to an extent, you kind of like get blind spots, right? So like, sure, I'm self-aware to an extent, but then when all of this shit was going on, I wasn't self-aware at all, right? And it took me like talking to my parents and then me feeling like, oh, they're gonna be on my side, to them not being on my side and being on her side, for me to like wake up and be like, oh wait, what the fuck, what's going on, you know? So yeah, it's been a weird ass day. It's been a weird few days rather. And of course, like, part of me is sad that like I couldn't go to Japan, but for my own well-being, it made sense not to go, you know? Just because like if I ended up in like the same state I was in yesterday, like if I'm having like a panic attack or anxiety attack and I'm like in a different country and like nobody speaks English, like that's a whole other like can of worms waiting to happen, or like a big ass issue that could happen, you know? So yeah, I guess the other thing is you got to be very careful what you're consuming. And I don't even mean just food. I mean like, what kind of books are you consuming? What kind of media are you consuming? What kind of like social media, content, news, supplements, like literally everything. Like, you got to be very careful about what you're consuming, because this will eventually become your identity, right? And you got to be careful with who you let plant seeds in your head, right? Because this is another thing. Like, I had decided like, okay, this is who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. Like, I'm going to propose to her. I'm going to get married to her. And then my dad planted this seed in my head again of like, oh, well, why don't you like see other options first and then decide like who's the best option? And like the fucked up part is like he did this before, and like it literally had the same impact, where like now I'm like looking for problems in her and like creating problems that don't exist. And like, I'm not saying she's perfect, but like I like her. I like her company. Like, she literally was my best friend and like the only stable thing I had in my life, right? While all of this shit was going on. And then like I became unstable, and then that spilled over into her life. And like, again, like, I'm not blaming my dad, but it's like, you should have some common sense, bro. Like, I'm telling you I'm getting ready to marry this person, and like now you're telling me, oh, why don't you like see other options first? And like, I told him to his face, like, what the fuck, bro? Like, don't say this garbage to me. But then like the seed was already planted in my head. So now I think that fed into this whole thing of like, okay, let me just sit back and observe, and like, let me like see if this is actually what I want, right? So then like now I reframe my mind and I'm looking for problems. And if I couldn't find the problem, I'm creating the problem, right? Like, so it's just so stupid. And like, again, like, it's my own issues and it's like my own fucking shit that I haven't dealt with. And then again, I think it's also just like this whole fear of being alone, you know? And I guess I have to like overcome that, and I have to like cultivate good friendships. So like all of these things I'm saying now, like I've said this all in past videos, and like that's the trajectory I was on. That was the path I was taking. And then I didn't have enough fucking discipline and I fell off the path. And then like Mina is the one paying the price now, right? Like, I'm also paying the price of it, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so stupid and so fucked up. So Mina, if you're watching this, like, I'm very, very sorry for everything that I put you through. And I don't expect you to forgive me, but I pray one day you do forgive me. And, you know, I will always pray for you whenever I pray. And I'm very proud of you for passing your exam. And I'm very happy I was able to be a part of that. And I feel like the world's biggest dumbass right now. And I truly regret my actions and the things that I said and the things that I did, you know? So for those of you who are watching this who can relate to some of this shit, do not make the same mistakes as me, and focus on yourself, build good habits, build good friendships, reflect on yourself, make sure you're journaling, because when you're journaling, you can go back and see your thoughts, even if you're not like going back to see them. It's like a place for you to dump your thoughts, you know? So yeah, we are now going to recalibrate, and hopefully I don't revert to this old operating system again, you know? Growth is a very fucking hard thing. Change is a very hard thing. And if you don't have a good support system, you don't have good habits, and you're not maintaining your physical health, your mental health will deteriorate, and then I'm sure your life will start to unravel, right? And again, like I said before, like if you lack discipline, the world and life is gonna smack you around, and that's literally what happened to me. So now it's back to day one, rebuilding my discipline, rebuilding my habits, rebuilding my routines, you know? So, yeah, what a fucking journey. So many ups and downs, but that's what life's about. Peace out, Zoo Crew.